In the Thousand Year Blood War arc, we were introduced to the heritage of our main character Ichigo from his father Ishin, after it had been hinted from about as early as chapter 1. Upon learning about this heritage along with his true Zanpakuto from Ishin and the Maior Oetsu, Ichigo meditates into his inner world and discusses with who we would come to know as Old Man Zangetsu, to whom we would come to find out that he is really a piece or a part of the end of series villain Yhwach or Yhwach, and in fact Hollow Ichigo, known as White, was telling the truth all along in the Visored training segment of the Hueco Mundo arc, to where White tells Ichigo that he is in fact the name Zangetsu. Now of course we were in amazement that Kubo's foreshadowing was so obvious, yet so perfectly written as the series progressed. We got to look back and see and read correctly of those moments of interactions and engagements. However, this isn't a video telling you something you already know if you've read Bleach. But in fact, this idea goes a lot deeper, not only in planning or writing, but even the Bleach lore and Ichigo's own power and development. But before that, big shout outs to the people over at Tapitoon for sponsoring today's video. Tapitoon publishes the hottest Korean webcomics in English, French and German. I know a lot of webcomics are getting a massive boom as of lately with Solo Leveling really getting people hyped up. So I'm glad I can share a service of which you guys can go check out these awesome webcomics and support the creators while doing so. I myself will be checking out Solo Leveling soon after I finish reading A Returner's Magic Should Be Special, where the main character gets to go back in time before a massive 10-year war starts and is able to study and train to get a second chance at survival. There's over 300 titles you can go and read. New episodes are for free with the time till free option, or you can do it by watching ads. So if you're interested, definitely give them a peep and support the creators by doing so. But yeah, thanks to Tapitoon, go check them out, and back to the video. In chapter 63, Ichigo meets a mysterious old man wrapped in black as Ichigo trains to get his own Soul Reaper powers. This old man says a name, but it is blacked out and seemingly cracking the speech bubble. As fans of the series, over time we greatly assumed that this was because Ichigo couldn't hear his Zanpakuto's spirit name. The only other validation of this was with Kenpachi Zaraki, also having difficulty speaking to his Zanpakuto spirit. However, this concept is wrong, and both Ichigo and Kenpachi had certain conditions which were different from what was considered normal, which ended up being a very smart deceptive narrative by Kubo. Because of this deception, when the answer was given to us by Hollow Ichigo, we as the fans brushed it off as a double deception. I mean, Hollow Ichigo didn't seem very trustworthy until you reread everything after reading the entire series and realise, maybe he wasn't a bad guy after all. He was actually pretty reasonable. Praise on Kubo's writing aside though, it seems that Ichibei, one of the members of Squad Zero, blacked out the real name of the old man that we had come to be accustomed to. To give context on Ichibei Hayasubei's abilities in layman's terms, it's that he has the ability to give and change names. Names have meaning, and power is drawn from that meaning, and Ichibei is essentially the creator of those names and purposes. This is why names in Bleach are so important. For example, saying the name of an attack will be more potent than if you didn't. This has also been shown for halving names. For example, Renji's Zanpakuto spirit only gave him half of their name, and because of that, never really unlocked the true potential of his abilities. So why is this relevant to Ichigo and the old man's spirit residing within Ichigo himself? Well, this is because what old man Zangetsu in Ichigo's spirit world was trying to say was the name Yhwach, or Yhwach. This is because the name Zangetsu is written in kanji, and the name Yhwach is written in katakana. The black bar that censored the name is just too thin and too long for it to suggest that it was Zangetsu, as Zangetsu is written within kanji. This was brought up when Kubo confirmed this in his Q&A fan club, that this was an act that was in fact the result of Ichibei. Going back and reading the Blood War arc yet again, it would allude that these two characters are familiar with each other, and I dare say, maybe fought each other. Maybe Ichibei didn't need to fight Yhwach to seal his name. However, what we do know is that Yhwach does have the ability to take power back from others and also grant it. So while Yhwach was restoring and resurrecting himself over the 999 years, it seems Yhwach was also using Ichigo as a source of power, while he was recovering for the last 9 years of his strengthening. I think really what this indirectly does is just give the fans more desire and need for a flashback or mini arc to see what really happened 1,000 years ago. So now that we know the facts in regards to that anyway, of course there's now the discussion of being, What do the cracks in the speech bubble mean? I'll leave that theory to you guys in the comment section down below, but for me personally, I have a feeling that it is in regards to Ichigo's ability to manipulate fate, but that's really a whole nother discussion in and of itself. I also want to use this opportunity to talk about the headcanon when talking about young Yhwach, or how we know him as Tensei Zangetsu. Seeing as Hollow Ichigo took the more dominant spirit or form as stated by Hollow Ichigo himself, I would imagine that during this time of dormancy, that old man Zangetsu had become a perhaps rebirthed reincarnated spirit. What we saw at the start of Bleach was Yhwach's spirit within Ichigo, but as Ichigo unconsciously referred to this Yhwach as Zangetsu, perhaps remade him into his own sentient being and chose to protect Ichigo rather than use him as pre-planned from the beginning. This would make sense even if the theory is incorrect in detail, as Ichigo was not only able to synchronize both his Hollow and Quincy spirits together, but also call them Zangetsu under the same Asuchi blade or blades. Even if the Tensei Zangetsu headcanon is incorrect, what we can say is correct is that at the moment of forging, Ichigo gave his Quincy spirit a name, and thus gave him power within that name, with also part of the abilities that Yhwach had transferred over. This can go on to why Ichigo has been theorized to use fate manipulation. If Yhwach can change futures and see outcomes, then it is possible for Ichigo to have some form of ability like that too, even if it's on a smaller scale, if not modified. But that's enough dribble for now. What do you think of this foreshadowing? Do you like the incorporation of Yhwach's name being erased? Do you like the callback of when Ichibei did the same thing to Yhwach's sword? Maybe that's why Ichigo doesn't have a similar sword style. With confirmations like this, there's very little to go off, so it's interesting to think about and really opens up discussion, and if anything, drives more content for the Blood War anime. But with that being said, I'm going to catch you guys later. You guys, of course, have this fine day, been Hansen, and as always, people, peace out.